What is up, everyone? It's your boy, a flat piece of cardboard! And today, I welcome you back to my Dragalia loss analysis videos. So today, we'll discuss a few things involving the new Festival Phenoms banner, patch 1.9, and a little bit about the bridal banner that I skipped. Now, I wish that Spinning Shark is still with me, because I'd love to hear what he thinks about all this as well. But alas. So the first thing we will go over is the new banner itself. We'll go with Shinobi first, because he is an extremely powerful dragon. I rate him even higher than Marishiten due to how powerful his effects are. So first of all, Shinobi sports the whole 20% strength and 70% skill damage thing. That isn't new. We've seen it before on Sakuya a little while back with Student Maribel. However, what is new is the element change. More importantly, to Dark. Thanks to Ieyasu and his pals, top tier Dark DPS is predominantly ruled by bleed. And outside of, maybe Veronica spamming high power Gespenst at low HP, nothing can match this damage over time. And you know what? As it turns out, skill damage increase will further beef up the damage from bleed. See, when I first saw Shinobi, I couldn't help but think, hey, wait now, just how exactly is bleed damage calculated? Is it through the damage you do with the skill, or is it through some formula based on strength and crit? The wiki didn't go too into details. Reddit was no help. So in order to make sure if Shinobi was worthwhile as a Marishiten replacement, I ran two tests. Courtesy of our fat and useless dragon pal. So the first test was to see if straight up increasing the damage would cause more bleed damage. So first I went with just chocolate eaters and did my Sakura flurry and see if my bleed damage would add up. It came out to about 800 or so. Okay. And then I went with the Petal Queen Wormprint, which fully energizes you at the beginning of the stage if you don't know what it does, and gave it another go. The result came out to be around 1200, which is 50% of 800. So Energize definitely increased the damage of my bleed as well. It wasn't tied down to some strength and crit or whatever static damage formula. Alright, just to make sure, I went with another test. This time I went with two similar worm prints of equal base strength. Levin's Champion and Heralds of Hinomoto. The damage I got for Levin's was about 800 or something or so as well. Maybe a little bit more due to crit. While Heralds, on the other hand, kicked it up to about 1100. So through these tests, I was rather convinced Shinobi will explosively increase the damage of bleed. Thanks to being able to kick up to 90% in skill damage, and on top of this, he gets to energize your whole team. This asshole actually went and did it. Okay, the Shinobi, he powered up an already overpowered mechanics and sent it basically spiraling out of control. Marishiten, on the other hand, while great and can also provide bleed of her own, doesn't exactly come with such crazy multipliers. And, most importantly, on top of all this, because Dark also has Veronica, whose gimmick is all about having low health and dealing really high damage in skill damage, on top of her skill which gives her yet another boost for being at low health, you can expect some serious damage output from her that can match bleeding. So make no mistake, this is a dragon you will want to have. Now, since I didn't review Student Maribel and Sakuya specifically, I'll take this chance to remind you that despite what I've just said, Shinobi isn't exactly the end-all either. He might be for the moment, but you have to consider that your force strikes are going to have less of an impact. 40% less from Marishiten, in fact. And any further skills that may benefit normal attacks or force strikes that comes in the future, let's take Kuhai or Albert for example. Those dudes have the ability to change their force strikes into deadly monstrosities in place of one of their skills. So I wouldn't be surprised if they find some way to bring that in, or some other way to turn normal attacks to something like this as well in the near future. Like, oh, I don't know, enchanting your blade so you do extra damage, or hit with like 50% damage from like another element, or something like that. I'd say attack speed is good too, but that also builds up more SP for more skills, which means skill damage probably still wins out. But other than those scenarios, though, I think that, yeah, skill damage is going to more than make up for that damage in spades from lost strength. So unless, of course, you whiff your skills in, or dealing with a fight where you use your skills too often, is unfavorable because you'll get killed by some crazy purple attack, that sort of thing, I think that skill damage is probably the way to go. Therefore, I think the most ideal candidates for Shinobi is someone who has bleed, does tons of damage, or have a really fast skill animation, preferably all three. So, that being said, let's go over to the adventurers. Now, Yaten here is our first 5-star Dark Sword. He's quite good at it too, because his first skill, Festival Rush, is not only quick, but it also moves him back to a more favorable position. So that's one of the weaknesses that, you're using a skill in not favorable because you could get killed by a purple attack. You could just move back to a safer spot and roll away further. So then on top of this, if he's already energized, this skill is said to hit like a truck. It turns into Festival Dance, and it increases its base damage on top of the energized bonus, on top of more bonuses that he gets as passive skills. So, I mean, it does tons of damage, and of course it also gives him 1 energy, because, why not? Now the second skill he has is Bold Blade. It simply raises the entire team's energy by 2, and it looks to charge a little bit on a slower end, so it might just about evens out with Elia's and Pia's energy skill 2. Don't know yet for precisely, but that's my guess. It seems to add up to about that rate. Now, what's really terrifying about this character, though, is that he gets a bonus to strength and critical rate based on how energized he is. 20% strength and 8% crit is no joke. And then he gets another 20% after getting energized for 15 seconds as his next skill. So that, on top of the 50% energized damage bonus, with whatever extra bonus that Festival Dance gets, it's absolutely insane. It's explosive. Art is a bang. So unless he faces some kind of content that threatens him with status effects, Yaten is looking to be a rather strong character. Now, due to the way he plays, and for being a sword character for 4 strikes, I think both Marishiten and Shinobi works well with him. And if there's a crit dragon for Dark in the future, I'm sure he'll fit in just as well. All in all, he's a solid all-round character. Well, for DPS anyway. Next up is his pal Natalie. Now, not only is she hot, but she looks like another crazy-ass character. Now, I say this is because, much like Veronica, she does more damage with Defiant Dance if she has less health. By that, I mean, I don't know, probably like 30% or even less, I don't know. But for some reason or another, some stupid reason or another, she also has a quick animation to go on top of this. She can move back to a safer position, and then, of course, also gain 1 more energy. That's disgusting! Though something tells me that she might not do as much damage as Gaspence. I just can't imagine Veronica to get eclipsed so quickly. I mean, Psy Games, I have to consider that they probably thought about that. But I might have to also take that back, because her next skill is even dumber. Now, Clean Slate, if used when she's 30% health or below, gives her a plus 15% strength buff. Very straightforward, not very bad. But what's stupid is that if she already has 30% health or above, she can purposefully bring her health down to 20% and then gain a crazy 80% divergent shield that actually stacks with other normal shields. Now, I'm not sure if divergent shield stacks on itself, like stacks on another divergent shield, but say, okay, you have a Nyarlathotep, I think that's how you pronounce his name properly. You will have 2 layers of defense that protects you from 2 hits, because Nyarlathotep gives you a shield when you're below, I think, 30% health. So if you play decently well, you can actually you can dish out tons of damage with your S1 without much fear of dying, because you now 2 hits have to actually hit you before you actually pass on. Although, I think you'll have to... Yeah, in order to get another Divergent Shield, I think you'll have to have like 30% health or above, so you may need to get a heal or something like that in order to fully take advantage of this. Otherwise, once you run out of shield, it could be a little dangerous. Anyway, on top of this, she also gets to remove debuffs with this skill, but it's not much compared to the rest of her effects. You shouldn't even get affected by debuffs to begin with, but if you do, well, you have some insurance. Now, this skill is something that Veronica should have came with, not something stupid like Nosferatu that, well, frankly works against her. And her staff too, which heals. God, it's terrible. It's really highly regrettable that Veronica has kind of been power crept, and I haven't even used her much yet. I barely used her. Now, her other passives include this 80% chance to gain another energy nonsense, where she gains energy from some source, and then, hey, this crazy ass thing, he gets more energy. And then, crazier than this is that she gets 20% extra strength and 10% attack speed. That's crazy. When her health is below 30%? That's insane! Dude, this character is completely out of control. High risk, high reward, and absolutely cannot be used by the AI, because I'm positively sure she'll get herself killed. If you slap her with some tough love worm print and give her some more last offense, she gets even more crazy. Of course, for a limited amount of time, but you can do so much damage with her, it's out of control. Now, her primary weakness, though, is against crowds and bosses that like to send out multiple attacks at the same time. She will absolutely dominate against a slower hitting foe, but anything that can hit hard and fast will rip her to shreds, especially unannounced and random melee attacks. If that happens, you'll be in trouble. Now, thankfully, high dragons, their attacks tend to be very telegraphed. Though I honestly wouldn't rest on my laurels and bet on that possibility from High Jupiter just yet. He is a trickster and a little bit of an asshole after all. Now, if you want to play it safe with her, then, well, she's nothing special. Unlike Yaten, she's not as easy to play. You also have to deal with healers healing you, whether you want to or not. And the worst part is, if they have single target heals, you end up stealing them. So I think you should really treat her as a specialized tool for specialized targets if you want to draw out her full potential. Now, all in all, this banner is rather intriguing. Now, I know they've been pushing energy mechanics for a while, but this here is a real serious attempt. And it shows these characters and Shinobi are no laughing matter, and may be the first unlimited banner that I am seriously considering pulling just because of the far more optimized playstyle that they offer. Now, if you have Marishiten and Ieyasu already, I would still say to think twice before making such a move. Although there are currently no content that requires this excessive power, there's also no telling how they will handle High Jupiter. It could just as well be a High Disappointment like High Mercury again. Now, I have a good feeling that he might show his face on the 15th of July, mainly because we're going to get a new chapter. And we always get a new chapter, new High Dragon each time we get a new chapter. So with all the extra buffs to our character, we're getting the chances we're going to get with fighting a High Dragon is relatively high. But again, nothing is really set in stone, so it's up to you to decide, hey, you want to take this risk and summon now, or wait until a little bit later. Because, you know, I also have a feeling that we'll probably get a new Gala summoning again on 15 as well. So, use that to influence your decision. You know, just kind of guess. Because this banner is probably going to be done before the 14th. I know that the Dream Summon is done on the 14th. So, I'm pretty sure they're planning something big on the 15th. But anyway, alright, so now that we've kind of touched that on already, let's go over the latest version 1.9 a little. We'll talk about the version update a little bit, and then we'll wrap things up. So, the most important aspect of this patch is that we're going to get these stupid-ass things that boosts your HP and attack, and pretty much everything you own. Weapons, dragons, worm prints, and the adventurers themselves. I'm not sure how much I actually like that, because that's a lot of extra grind to max out our characters in the horizon. I actually rather like the idea of having a maxed out character easier and simply tackling tougher maps, but as it is, things are kind of looking to go the exact opposite. See, one of the things that really bothers me about this game, and I'm sure some others as well, such as Burke, Spinning Shark, who's taking a hiatus from this game for the moment, is because the content generally doesn't need such maxed out characters to finish. As a matter of fact, hey, look, what happens is that, my dojos are not maxed, but there's no point in me doing that because I can clear everything already, so I'm just gonna be fat and useless. This game has no PvP fights whatsoever, and so any serious min-maxing, in my opinion, is just there to show off your old big number dick, and you know, it's like combining your characters with all these plus 50 gears. You're looking at 250 might, if I understand how this works correctly. Now, the other thing that bothers me is that these buffs look like they're tied down to the items you wish to buff. So, if you want to be efficient, you want to make sure that, hey, I'll always use this adventure, or this dragon, or this worm print. You have to be absolutely certain on what you want to invest on as well. Unless, you know, it's easy to grind. So, it's really a bit of a mess. Unless the grind itself to get these things is bearable or comes in great enough quantities, it'll be a huge drag to get them all maxed out. And, you know, what's worse is that you probably might not even need it. Faced with a situation like that, you don't even know what you're grinding for anymore. So, when you don't know what you're grinding for anymore, you can lead to a burnout rather quickly. It's what killed Langrisser for me. Well, that and, you know, playing 3 gachas really is just not exactly a smart thing to do. But anyway, so what makes me further worry is that, well, you know, they just kind of nerfed the Imperial Onslaught to the ground. I mean, it's already easy enough for me to auto. Look, hell, I was one of the first people to solo all the Isles, even made a video guide on it. But now, hey, we're just gonna remove all the spikes, the rocks, and logs, you know, whatever that makes those Imperial Onslaughts a pain in the ass in the first place, and make it even easier. I mean, okay, look, I don't mind, especially, you know, this content's already on farm, new players could use and get benefit from this. But see, seeing this makes me worry, because I don't know how likely it is that they're gonna add harder content, because right now everything is a bit easy, and instead of, you know, making harder stuff, they're kind of making easier stuff. I'm actually kind of scared what will happen with Jupiter, because, you know, what if we end up kicking his ass too soon? Then what? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna farm for? I think what this game really needs is something like random dungeons, or better yet, some kind of roguelike dungeon crawling experience, maybe even with no gears or anything. You have to like earn it during that run, and, you know, procedurally generated stuff, or, you know, just at least some kind of different dungeons and challenges that comes in a more regular period. See, much as I am in a love-hate relationship with Fire Emblem Heroes, they do come out with new challenges rather regularly, in the form of grand hero battles, legendary hero battles, bound hero battles, tactics drills, yada yada yada, and whatnot. And you know what? Hell, even the PvP gives me a little different experience each time I go. But there's no such things with Dragalia. Once we clear those maps, then it's just all a repetitive grind for the same things. So to break the boredom, you know, people come up with whatever meme builds they try and, you know, try and entertain themselves. But if you ask me, I think that this game is maybe mostly carried by its story. Its gameplay is fun, but after a little while it gets tiresome. But the story, I think, is, to me, kind of entertaining. I like the story, but even after that, after a certain point, the contents dry up, and we'll have some problems. I mean, damn it, man! I can't believe Mercurio Gauntlet was just us fighting a fat ass dragon. I remember back then people were speculating, hey, it'll be like going through random dungeons, you know, where we go and travel around and fight things and such. But sorry, I'm sorry for rambling. So let's get back to the patch. So another thing we now have for further character strength growth is that we now have new level cap for dojos and shrines. And the best part is that level 31 specifically gets huge gains. So much so that the last few levels seem so insignificant. I highly recommend getting all your dojos you plan on using to 31 before tackling on diminishing returns for getting to 35. And other than that, we have a couple quality of life changes, nothing really worth much getting into, though I guess there is that Blazon thing that was cool. So instead of summoning that shit 10 at a time, you can now scroll all the way past and get rid of your huge stash of thousands of these Blazons. Back then, I had to use a macro just to run those Blazons dry, so I'm really glad for this change, much like what they did with the wings change with faster room times, which did away with my wings macro, which was made so that I auto accept co-op rooms, because, you know, otherwise they'd be like, hey, you want to try and join the room again? Oh, trying to join the room again? I'll have it just so that it keeps selecting that, yes, I want to try that room again, so that I can accept a room into eventually get into co-op rooms and use up my feathers, because boy, back then feathers was tough to use. I mean, sometimes even now I find it a pain in the ass to get rid of them, but then, you know, that's besides the point. I much prefer auto battling with my stamina. Anyway, so other than that, what I've just said about 1.9, I suppose I can wrap things up with a quick analysis of the wedding banner. I'll keep it brief, as I'm skipping this banner for good. Now, Bridal Elisanne, she's great, she's cute, she's wearing a wedding dress, but I think that she has some mass skills that require positioning, which is a luxury, especially in a faster paced fight. In an action game like this, you're not, especially when fights that matters, you're not likely to heal much from Sacred Union, and enemies might not stay in the debuffs of Wedding Bell for too long. So what she does have though is Strength Double buff, which works well to Rondo, Lowen, and the likes of Gala, Ronzo, and Zanya. So she has that to boost her strength to some crazy amount and achieve some decent DPS, but her skills? Meanwhile, we have Aoi, our first 5-star Wind Dagger, but unfortunately I think that her over-reliance on sleep kind of kills her. See, against hard bosses that matters, sleep and sleep team strength are pretty much dead weight. She can heal a little tiny bit with her Ninja Bright Sun Shower skill 2, and it doesn't create some crazy zone, just gives it to you. But it's a tiny ass heal. Her main asset is that both of her attack speeds or skills are on low cooldown. The sleep is meh. Anything that falls asleep are usually farm content, and with the recent Imperial Onslaught nerf, it's becoming more and more pointless. They need to hurry. What they need to do is hurry and allow sleep to act like some kind of proxy skill. Like, or at least a lessen effect on bosses, so that, it counts as, hey, the boss is asleep, then you can activate these bonuses. But anyway, so finally, for adventurers, Zanya is really mad. Full HP heal bonus, terrible. You don't heal at full HP. Generally, when you heal, your whole team gets hurt because of some stupid mechanics. Oh, some purple zone came under me. Oh, we have to gather together to take this pillar. It's just full HP heal is just silly. I don't like it at all, and it's not like it's a huge bonus either. Now, it makes more sense for full HP DPS, but full HP heal, no good. And she also comes with like mostly stock healer tools and like, you know, the skill prep. Not that it's bad, but it's, you know, it's not maxed out either. And she comes with freeze resistance. I suppose you can use a Wormprint slot for that bog resistance thing, but whatever. Now, her main selling point is that she has skill 2, which is a regen and a defense buff at the same time, which allows you to use double buff. And I suppose that she's Zanya. I think that as a healer, she can really learn a thing or two from Nurse Aileen, which has more toys to play with and a regen skill 1, despite both being 4-star characters. And of course, then there's Lowen. We don't even use Lowen, and I think Lowen is a superior healer for boss fights, thanks to his also giving defense and increasing your HP. But anyway, Freya. Now Freya, that one is nice. Now, not only does she energize the whole team for massive chunks of damage, or heals, but that 35% skill haste that she gives is absolutely disgusting. If you pair that up with Louise or Hawk, I guess you're going to be looking at, what, 50%? Add some worm prints like, Jewels of the Sun, and like Herald of Yunomoto, some Silas, and all of a sudden you have tons of damage and healing, if you want, at your disposal. The 30% HP is a bit of a letdown, unless you're a healer, but that skill haste more than makes up for it. I'm serious, skill haste it may be a joke by itself, but when you stack everything like that together to this degree, it's actually very scary. But anyway, that's about it for my triple analysis for the day. I know it's a bit long, but hey, look, you guys wanted Dragalia Lost content, and here it is. I'll be sure to do more later, so I thank you all for watching. Until next time.